Hey, Judd, congratulations on your reappointment.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Okay, we are live.
Hey, my name is Michael Harden, Chairman of the Parking Authority, and this is the Norwalk Parking Authority meeting, September 23rd, 6 p.m. Thank you. Hybrid meeting, we are meeting in person, and yet do have to Zoom on with a few of our members as well.
Let's see, do we have George's? Oh, no, not yet.
I'm going to ask that everybody mutes for the time being. If you could check your individual computer, thank you. Well, the public is first, right? So the public comment section is first. Catherine, do we have anybody who emailed in or called in, or are there any public speakers?
Well, nobody emailed or called me. Larry, is there anybody on the phone?
No, there are no attendees currently to speak.
All right. So then we'll move on to approve the minutes of the Parking Authority meeting held Wednesday, July 22nd. It's the last time we officially met.
To approve.
Judd, can you second that?
Where'd you go?
Judd, I can second that. I will second that.
Okay.
Judd,
Okay, I'm back.
do you have any changes to the minutes of July 22nd?
I do not.
Would you second a motion from Eric?
I'll second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, so that, and the second one is approve the minutes from the special parking authority held on Wednesday, August 22nd. Any changes or corrections there?
Not that I saw.
Hearing none, we'll look for a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
Eric seconds. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? So carried. On to the information and discussion portion of the meeting. We have a bunch of topics here. I feel like I kind of spaced out my chairman's report into the minutes itself. So I'm going to dispense with the chairman's report and just go straight to our first topic, which is the Webster Street parking lot and the Mike Oz request via a letter earlier this year for discussion. Did you read that letter, Judd?
That's not in the packet, is it?
No,
I didn't.
last week a resend.
Oh, I'm sorry, I missed that. So,
Okay. Did you get that?
I did get it. If I recall, it's about holding off on the work until repaving is done. Is that the letter? I talked to him sometimes, so I can't remember if he's
Right.
if I'm recalling a conversation with him about it.
No, his problem in the letter boils down to this. He includes the parking fees in
Oh,
his
I didn't see them.
in his leases to his tenants. And his issue with us is that we've changed the parking fees, in his words, a little sporadically. And when they go up, he does not pass them on to his tenant. He absorbs them. And his request is that we come to an agreement on a parking fee and a increase per year scale that he can rely on, and therefore write into his leases with his tenants, and use for that purpose. So I think it makes sense, but what we need to do is get back to him in some way with a response, which we've never actually done officially as a commission.
Mike?
Go ahead, Judd.
Oh, yeah, no, I remember that from 3 or 4 months ago. I think he sent that letter out initially. So I am familiar with it, and we have not done anything, and we have not discussed it enough, in my opinion. So I don't know how we proceed.
Just real quick, he came here to the meeting in February.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, and he presented his.
With the letter.
With the letter, presented his thoughts on all of that, and then COVID hit and things changed.
Right, that, yes, I remember all that now. So
But it wasn't a response because
Right.
things changed.
I think for me personally, I need to look at the letter. I need to look at the rates, the current rates, and also, you know, what we've raised them over the past few years. And I'm sure he'd like to get this resolved, but I just need more time to think about it personally.
I feel like that's sentiment around the room. Yes?
Okay.
All right, so let's make a point then to dive into this letter and start the discussions with ourselves and even with him if we want to bring it in, and see if we can come to some conclusion with him that we can vote into the next meeting.
Okay.
As I recall, it sort of went on the back burner a little bit because we went through a period of no parking fees.
Right,
So I think we felt that the urgency was off a little bit.
it was. And half, they're still at half, right?
Yeah,
What's the last-
they're reduced, yes.
They're still in reduced
Yeah.
case. But it doesn't absolve us of the answer. And now that we have a little bit of time, we should address it and follow up, which I'd like to do.
I agree completely. And whatever we do come to, we'll factor in the fact that there's been all this time of no fee and partial fee,
Right.
at least for this year we're in.
You're entering into.
Right. Right, and it's really a future conversation about how to work. At the end of the day, we just want him to fill that building up with tents. And we don't want to stand in the way of that, so.
We're listening to everything you're doing.
Are
you like a
Oh.
loaded dish?
Okay. I'll mute it.
Did you lose
Chopping
you?
ice.
Pulling down the blinds, and I'm like, oh my God.
He muted, thank you, Judd. We're still.
Thank you.
You're still with us. All right, so the next topic is the North Water Street Lot Seaport request. The Seaport Association came to me and said that, they run their ferries out of that dock at the parking lot there all summer, right? It was 140 days or 160 days or something they're running it. And their request is that we grant them a single parking space for the captain of the ship. And the way it was explained to me was the captain comes and parks, pays $10 because they're there all day, and then they hand in the chit, and the Seaport ends up, reimbursing that chit. And I actually thought it was a good way for the city and the Seaport to sort of work together by putting aside, or making a sign, putting aside one space that was for the captains. And then we would obviously have to manage that by getting the captain's license plate numbers and making sure that space is reserved for them, for one captain a day, basically. So I offer that up as a topic.
Is the Maritime Garage too far away?
It's a block away.
I don't know. It's a good question.
It's just that I'm confident that the businesses and restaurants that rely heavily on that parking lot appreciate not taking space away.
Right. There are already 2 or 3 spots reserved for the bridge guy. Right? 2. There are 2 spaces all the way towards the bridge there that are for the.
There's like 30 spaces total, right?
40.
Right.
Right, but on the bridge, the spaces for the bridge attendants, I don't remember off the top of my head, but there might have been a requirement to do that. So that researched related to.
We know as part of the walk bridge is that.
No, what's gonna happen with that parking, what they're talking about, but there's still some work to be done related to this concept, is to move the parking further underneath the bridge. That parking lot will become an active park. That's what's gonna happen with it. So all that's gonna go away.
So closer to the Maritime Garage.
Correct. So anyway,
Maybe we, if we need to act on this like tonight.
No, it's up for discussion.
Because what I would suggest potentially is, given the unknowns of the Walk Bridge project, rather than give something and then take it away later, we offer a spot in the Maritime Garage,
A little more permanent.
which would be.
And that's a good point, because even if we gave them the space, we're only gonna have that lot for somewhere between another year and 2 years, and then they're gonna. Oh, Vanessa?
Also, starting next year, supposedly we start the demolition of the IMAX. When we do the demolition, some of those spaces may need to be taken for the setup of the cranes. So you're gonna see a lot of on and off from that parking lot in the next few years.
right.
So, certainly, there's no desire on my part to say no.
Right.
But I think a more reliable solution, at least for the next several years, is going to be.
Excuse me, Chairman. Can I ask a question?
Yes, George?
Sure. Would it be a bad idea to give them a space in the Maritime lot?
Yeah,
The first-
yeah, that's what we're talking about.
George,
That's a great idea, George.
The North Water lot that's the same. What they're talking about is the fact that, the lot's gonna be closed during the several times during the Walk Bridge construction. And that after the construction, there's been discussion about moving those spaces further down under the bridge and converting the parking lot into an active park.
Okay.
So the Maritime Garage idea was brought up by Eric. It's a good idea. I like the way you think, George. It's more permanent.
The other option is using Liberty Square and taking a spot there, but is that too far?
I don't know, but there's only, I think there's 60 spaces there, and it's pretty heavily used by the the businesses and the residents.
Not sure I would disturb Liberty Square at the moment.
Yeah, either Maritime. How do we communicate back to them, or is that all of your?
Yep. I'll propose to them that. See what they think and bring it back next month. All right? Next.
I'm sorry, everyone's cutting in and out. What was the last comment?
We're gonna bring up the Maritime Garage idea to them and bring it back to the meeting next month.
Okay. Thank you.
D, the West Washington Street temporary parking installation was tabled again at the traffic. Judd, but do you want to
I can,
fill the group in on what you told me the other day?
I think, Catherine, I did not attend that traffic authority meeting. Catherine did, so she could tell you what they said. And then I have some comments on it after that.
Okay,
Okay, so I'm facing this way so people see me.
yeah,
So,
of
you
course,
know,
I can
so
hear
I'm
you.
not-
Go ahead,
okay.
no, it's fine.
So yes, I attended with my team, Mike Yosak and Fred Ashragi, and we were asked to, last month to redesign the concept plan of putting from 15 parking spaces and moving the center line to 13 parking spaces because the traffic authority members had some concerns. So we brought that back to the traffic authority on Monday night, and they still had further concerns, and some of the concerns were related to that even though the narrowing of the street created a traffic calming measure, people, in their minds, people double parked at the post office, and if they were parking on both sides, that it would create some backup on the West Washington Street. So that was one of the comments. And the other was, I'm trying to think off the top of my head. That was the main one that came to mind, that comes to my mind, was the fact that even though the street was narrowing and created, again, traffic calming measure, that they had concerns about people double parking and it was too close and backing up traffic. Judd?
Yeah, and that's basically the same thing they said back in the July meeting. So I would like to meet with Mike Yosak because I have some ideas of how we might alleviate their concerns about double parking. And I don't want to go into it here. I don't have the plan in front of me. But actually, Catherine, maybe you and I and Mike can meet outside City Hall. It'll probably take 15 or 20 minutes.
Yes.
So, and I don't know, maybe we can get it back on the October agenda.
Okay,
All right?
thank you.
Sure.
Eric, do you have an update for us on the marketing program?
I do. There's a transition process that is happening with the data and information from the previous manager or promotional person to the new people. So that transitional process is underway. And at the same time, we're working with the new people on the exact scope and breadth of their agreement so that they can take that information that's being transferred and integrated into the new management of the marketing effort for the for the businesses, primarily around the parking assets that we manage.
Okay, so we're waiting for the transition contract.
That's underway.
It's underway.
Yeah. And then there was a meeting this week to discuss the final contract with the company that was selected.
Nice, okay.
There's what's happening with the data. It's basically since the participants of the marketing effort sort of manage their own information. That's still continuing. So the ability for them to do that is still alive and active, and so it will be, in perpetuity as long as we do this.
Right.
And so the new company's scope is finalized and their long-term contract is agreed to, then they'll take and formulate whatever the steps are for the future of the whole effort.
Okay, more to come, I guess.
Yes.
Questions, comments? Does anybody want to talk about marketing? Okay. Next, quick discussion on the back-in angled parking at Wall and Main area. I put this on the agenda because about a year ago, we put this parking in. You remember when that was? It was around now, wasn't it?
Oh, it was a year and a half ago.
Year and a half ago.
Like September, a year and a half ago, yeah.
When we put the parking in, we talked about it as
2 years.
2 years already.
Mhm.
When we put the parking in, we talked about it as an experiment that we had never as a city done back in angle parking, and this was going to be the test for that. So the reason why I have it on the agenda now is because I wanted to bring it up as a topic to find out how the test is going.
It was last year. Yeah, it was last year, sorry.
Yeah, it was a
We
year.
were thinking about Liberty Square, Vanessa and I.
It's okay.
Yeah, we did so many parking management installations. Yeah, it was last year.
So I want to get the thoughts of the commissioners on any comments or any feelings that they have about this, and then maybe ask Rocky to talk a little bit about it too in terms of how it's going.
Well, there is back-end parking on Elizabeth Street. It's been there
For a long time.
Up against that building.
for a
Yep.
long time.
Mhm.
So I think if we're gonna talk about back-end parking at all, it's not, I don't think it's necessarily specific to. a
Did
location.
we do that though, or did the private building do that?
I assume it's city property, I don't know.
I think now it's private.
I think it's private.
Those are private spaces.
Those are private spaces.
So this was the first time the city actually reached out and
So
did.
those are not we don't manage those.
No.
No.
And they've been there for how long?
Oh,
Any idea?
gosh, over a long time.
Yeah.
So I would say they were,
Well, they work very well. People like it, yeah.
Right.
Businesses like it, you know.
especially if it's private, I would say it would change sooner than, you know.
Correct,
If it was a problem.
If it was a problem.
correct, yes.
Right.
So I related to this angle, back-end parking, you know, I guess it would just go to management, you know, is it fulfilling what we hoped it would accomplish or fulfill?
Yes, we've seen an increased use of the back and angle space. We've gotten some complaints from people that don't know how to park the back in their vehicle. But, you know, it is getting a higher usage, especially River Street and Wall Street, they're getting a higher usage.
And the reason we did it is or the reason that people who like that would say to do it is because it's increased safety and easier maneuvering overall once you're in the space. And so those are, I assume, part of the reasons why we did it
But we also added additional parking capacity.
as a result of that.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I think we got 9 or 10 spaces out of that, right?
Something like that, yeah.
so to me, regardless of people's opinions, it's safer to pull out of a back-end spot than it is to back out onto the street.
Right.
So that's a check for the good side of this. Getting the additional parking is a good thing because we need it. And management-wise, it's really no different than managing a parallel spot. You just manage it. So, you know, I would think it's doing everything it needs to do.
Excellent. Yeah, that's good. One of the reasons why I bring it up is because I get a few complaints about it from people that don't like it, and then I drive down to see it, and it appears as though it's working perfectly. Spots are full. Everybody's right in between the lines. They're up against the curb. They're doing their thing. You know, it seems to be working for me. And there's this weird disconnect from people complaining, and yet everything seems to be working well. One of the complaints that I did have that was interesting to me was the look of it all. And I know Judd had an interesting comment about the possibility of those yellow stands. What are they called?
Colors.
The ballards. And possibly changing them to something a little bit more pleasant to look at. Apparently there are sleeves you can put over them that are a little more decorative or, Judd, what did you say about that? You said,
Well, I mean, the ones, you look online and you can find a couple of companies that sell them pretty quickly. And it was, 6 months ago I looked or so, but there was a huge variety. The ones that I found the most appealing were black, and they mimicked like a black cast iron hitching post or something like that. I mean, I've also seen reverse angle parking now over in Westport at the train station, and they don't have any kind of ballards, nothing to back it up. They have the curb.
But do they
I mean-
have sidewalk behind?
They do. It's not, it's not in a retail restaurant area, So I understand that may be a difference. I mean, my personal preference would be to remove them altogether, but I understand that's just my opinion and there may be safety issues. If we're going to keep them, I would love to trade out the yellow sleeves for something nicer. And I'll try and order one. They're not expensive. I think they were $30 or $40. So, I'll try and order one and bring it to a meeting.
I think they're gonna be necessary, because if you take something like a truck or something with a long bed and it backs up, the only thing stopping them is the curb. And which means that, sometimes 4 or 5 feet could overhang the sidewalk.
So Eric, you think they're a good thing, safety wise?
Well, I think anything that improves pedestrian and bicycle safety is a good thing.
Okay,
I don't think it's a stretch to understand that this does that very well.
yep, it does. What are your feelings on a different sleeve for those? Something other than the bright yellow?
Yeah, I'm sure. A sleeve is going to be a sleeve, so I don't know what's under that sleeve. It might be that if it's like a steel bollard or something, maybe we just do something to the bollard, with a single reflective stripe around the top or something. I don't know, but I think they're important to keep because there's a sidewalk that runs the length there.
Okay. And, I noticed, I see down in Greenwich where they have, I'll call it nose in first. And in Greenwich, Stamford, other places, they don't have the bollards there, but I guess the idea is because you're driving in nose first, you have a better sense of what you're doing.
And plus,
Usually you have.
yeah, go ahead.
No, usually you have the wheel stopper also on the ground that you have to check, because in a lot of places, if it is kind of an angle, we put a wheel stopper on the ground.
Uh-huh.
What happens is that the first wheel, when you're in angle, will get to the curb before the other, and that's what is the problem, that you can have that overhang on top of the sidewalk.
Right.
And the distance from the front tire of most vehicles to the bumper of the front is shorter than the distance from the rear tire to the back bumper.
Okay. So do we want to consider these more aesthetic appealing sleeves?
Let's look at them, but I think also let's look at what's under the sleeve that's there, and maybe paint and reflective tape would do it.
Maybe
Okay.
an upper or something for those
Yeah.
pipes or something that just, and I don't want to create a problem where there isn't.
The plastic also help, because people heat those things. So
Yeah.
if you have also a cone speller, and then the car backs up, there's a chance that they're gonna sue us because we put something that can damage the car.
Yeah, so maybe it's a
That's
black
fine.
sleeve with a reflective.
Yeah, I think I could tell you, I backed into one of those the first time. I tried it.
That's what they're there.
And it seemed to be spring loaded or something. So,
It's a black sleeve with a reflective tape on the top or something.
yep. You mean for nighttime? Yep.
Yeah.
You have to, you kind of want that.
All right, so we'll get
So, is there an expectation on anyone's part that those are temporary?
Not that I'm aware of.
No, but the expectation was that they were somewhat experimental, that we may begin using them throughout the city if this worked well. And so I wanted to bring it up again just to talk. I mean, it seems like it's working pretty well, and we don't have a lot of oppositions. We have a few people that are upset, and we have a few people that are vocal about it. But overall, it seems like it's being used properly and very well. I love the idea of making them a little bit more appealing with different things. But again, I don't want to create an issue where there really isn't right now. So maybe we could take a look at something from Judd, which is, all right?
Okay. Sounds good.
All right. The Haviland Deck garbage containment area. Are you still with us, George? So let me explain.
Yes, I am. I'm right here. Still here.
Alive and well.
Would you like to give us a quick background? He's muted himself again. So a quick background on this, and hopefully Vanessa can chime in a little bit, is that at one point we gave some space on the lower Haviland deck to the co-op right next to it to move all the garbage dumpsters and cans away from the sidewalk behind the buildings and have one common garbage area. Let me start again.
Maybe Vanessa can.
Yeah, you go ahead,
She's
Vanessa.
Project managing that.
So there, I don't know. Whoever is the manager for some of those buildings,
Right.
not all, came to us. Here,
Yeah, it's been a while.
because he wanna add a compactor
Right.
to where it is. Because this actually helps him with the pickup of the garbage and he needs that area where it's already fenced a little more.
I'm sorry, guys. I'm breaking up. Can you still hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay. So, as Vanessa said, we approved that space, and the parking authority gave up that location. Correct, Vanessa?
No,
It's
no,
on private
no, George,
property.
no, it's, let me start again. So
Okay.
when we look back, they have an area, there is not a formal easement on that. But there was some kind of an agreement that there was a dumpster right in there. That he came to us because we wanted to improve that area. To include a compactor, because we need to bring power and get it more, it makes us easier to open.
Yes, and you needed like the additional 4 feet.
Yes,
Correct.
correct.
Right. So we approved it, and to date, nothing's been done yet.
That's correct, but let me just say one thing that, like, all those other dumpsters do not belong to him. So we adding that, he will not gonna get rid of those, because those are all either private or from
Or
separate
different
restaurants,
co-op,
or even
right.
from a different, managed company. Because besides those dumpsters, we also have some of the leanings. So, although it would be ideal to clean that, one thing was not related to the other. That got approved, it was actually a rush to get that project going, then who never spoke.
What's the problem with Rexall?
We didn't have, we had a couple of complaints.
Shit.
Still creates a health hazard because it's just garbage all over the place.
Right, well, why is this a parking authority?
I think they encroached a little bit on public property and you have to park.
I remember we gave them a little
It
sliver,
was a sliver.
Yeah,
It was
it
a
is.
sliver. It was a
It
sliver.
is,
Yep.
it is
Yep.
very little.
but that doesn't make the whole thing ours, does it?
No,
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 it's
no.
not ours
None of it
at
is
all.
The
ours.
agreement was just for that small portion of it.
So are we talking about this because it smells or because?
Well, George
We're talking about it.
brought it
I
up.
think we're talking about it because we felt like, a possible solution for the smell or the garbage in this area.
I'm sorry, everyone. I have horrible reception here. I'm only getting bits and pieces. This is definitely a conversation I want to have, but
No, it's not just you. I'm hearing bits and pieces too. I think it's, if more than one person is talking, then you're not picking it up.
I almost think that in the garage over there, maybe the signal's not as strong, being so low under the concrete.
I hear a lot of background noise.
We hear noise from one of you over there. I don't know.
That's better, George. Hold on.
I mute most of the time, so I'm not sure if it's me or not.
Go ahead.
Okay, no, go ahead.
So he muted again. So it is, right? So the whole idea was that we,
Bro, it's like a mob of them. You know, I can't get a speak fast.
Mute yourself.
So yes, it was a garbage issue. And we felt that by giving up this little sliver and helping them, that it was a step towards solving some of this issue. But after we gave them up, nothing ever happened. To date, nothing's ever happened. And I think the request is there something we can do? Is there a letter we can write to the co-op and just ask them, hey, are you still planning this? Or
We take back the plan we gave them and we put a steel post in that little slit.
with an orange cover.
With an orange cover and no reflective tape.
My suggestion would be that you guys, maybe you might, as the chairman, send a letter to them saying, we approved this, we haven't seen any improvement in the area, please send us a deadline. If not, we're going to waive that right with, because it has been all this time. I think that it's all that we can, to see if that will be incentive for him to move forward.
Right.
Does that come from me?
I think it comes from the law department. It doesn't come,
Yeah,
because it's a contract.
So it's our
We
request.
made
Was it a memorandum of understanding?
I feel,
I couldn't find it. I don't know where somebody has that. Do you have it? I couldn't find it either.
So it's a request from us to the law department. Write a letter to find out what's going on, what their plan is, and why they haven't done anything yet. All right.
If not, you're gonna revoke what it was approved.
I can hear that. I heard that part, and I agree with Mike. I agree with the chairman. I think we should send a letter to the law department and see where they stand and what their plan is.
Okay.
But it's the problem is
and things like that.
garbage, man.
Right, so I was gonna say.
Well, it's only a portion of the
property, because then it's not a part of.
It's a health department problem, I would think.
But it's a service alley also in the back, so, I think that, yes, there is a problem there, but I think the parking authority doesn't have the jurisdiction over that alley
Right, we don't.
where it is, with the dumpster is one thing, unless if you wanna promote and create another dumpster area that's everybody would be using, but I don't know.
Right, so they
do
would
that,
have
like,
to,
as we did that at Webster
and
Lodge.
what was our property too.
Yeah.
And they would also have to come from them as a collective group
Well,
to us.
you-
I
but
wouldn't
you
know
could-
how to
Yeah, I mean,
initiate something like that.
if it's impacting the parking authority, it can be a request and it could be some kind of collaborative effort to help clean up the area, to help maintain and sustain economic development. Because if you have garbage dumpsters all over the place around the parking lot and where there are businesses and outdoor dining, that's a problem.
Right.
That's a problem. So while it's not under the parking authority's jurisdiction, you still are a party to the conversation. So I just leave you with that.
Yeah, and I think we should be a party to the conversation.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's something we can take on.
No, you can't take.
No, we're not taking it.
No.
That you guys may collaborate, is trying to give up some of the places.
Once again, guys, I apologize because I'm only hearing bits and pieces of this, and I hope I'm responding to it properly. What Ms. Heber said is correct. We don't have authority over what goes on back there, although a lot of city funds did go to the back of the area over there for programming and different use. And as soon as we approved their permit for additional space so that they can add the compactor over there or redesign that whole dumpster setup, if they don't utilize that, and again, we'll go back to legal to confirm this within a certain time frame, it's either going to go back and they have to reapply again, or they have to fulfill the agreement on the request of need for that additional space.
Right. It's only a portion.
Right, so George, again, I think the parking hang on a second, because they're having a problem with all this stuff. I think the parking authority, it can be party to the conversation because it's adjacent to the parking lot. But it's a bigger conversation, with the
Correct.
restaurants and condos, so I think that's something that's worth looking into, and how we consolidate those dumpsters in a manageable way.
Agreed, because a lot of money was invested in that back area.
Absolutely, yeah.
It was proposed in a way that it was going to be used or utilized in a different purpose than it is being currently. So, and once we address that additional issue about the dumpster space, it's one of those, I believe it falls under a time item where if they don't do it or utilize it, then they would have to reapply all over again. I almost feel like this is the opportunity to either get it done or just on their part. And I don't think they will give up on it.
Okay,
Okay,
so we'll do that for legal
yeah.
as an action item. All right, the financial operating report.
Scott, you're gonna share your screen?
Yep.
Your chair's screen.
Okay. So I was thinking that maybe today we can, because we haven't had a meeting last month like we typically do, is just go through the ops report and maybe more page by page. It won't necessarily take that long, but at least maybe we can go through each location and note anything that was maybe unique that happened to give everybody a little update that what's happened since, COVID started and impacted us in March, end of March, April. Is that okay?
Yes.
Okay. So let me share my screen here.
Rocky, you.
All right. Can everybody see that?
Review. Oh, there it
No,
is.
we're good.
Yeah, it's good.
We are really good.
So everybody can see that?
Yes.
Okay. So I don't think we need to get into, what's happened over the last few months. Obviously, we know the pandemic has wreaked some havoc on operations since the end of March. And we've had some things in place that were reflected in the financial statements and how it negatively impacted activity, revenue, and we made some operational changes. I think the thing to note as we go through this is, and you'll see in the graphs, I mean, it's very apparent, the downturns at each location overall. And the good news is that I think the silver lining in this is that there is a recovery that is happening now, and you'll see it graphically, which is probably a little easier. So since for the last couple months, you'll see because we're in the new fiscal year, you'll see the orange lines, which represent this fiscal year of 2021. So in August, the parking revenue was well under budget for the month, and year to date, obviously everything because of COVID and the reduced demands on the system caused by some of the government shutdowns and increased regulations that were put in place. And on the expense side, we've done the same thing. We've reduced a lot of expenses, deferred some projects, deferred some other expenses, so we could minimize the loss temporarily. Revenue for the month is, I think what you're going to see is that we're down compared to last year, pretty much in everything, but we're up compared to last month. So that's a positive trend that we can take away from this. Is this large enough, or can you not?
Yes, so this is Eric. I just have a question. the middle of the page you had there, it says that, you were just saying revenue's up 2.9%. How much of that, is related to the beach participation that we have?
Well, none of that really, because that revenue goes to Public Works. The only thing that runs through your books are the violations from the beaches.
Right.
And when we get to that part, you'll see, the impact of that.
Okay, so when there is an impact from that revenue, it's identified as a separate source of income that doesn't skew the rest of our numbers.
Yeah, you're only seeing that in violation revenue.
Look at that.
But
Okay.
revenue is up 2.9%, so none of that is the revenue from parking violations.
So this is system wide. So,
Yeah, it is.
and this is just compared to July.
Right, so Stephanie, what Eric is asking, in that, stop, in that
Yeah.
note, go back,
Well, this is probably more relevant to what you're talking about, Eric. The way it's hitting the revenue is we're still down, but a part of that is violation revenue.
Well, that's my concern, because if we're saying overall we're up, then
No, it's not. Overall, we're only up compared to July. We are down. We're down almost 45% compared to last year.
okay, I just don't, I don't want to, I think that should be separate. I think the beach stuff should be completely separate from all of our numbers, and to the degree that.
Well, right now, part of the agreement with the parking authority is that revenue is captured on your books. How you want us to split it out, we can show you that that difference just on violations, but that's a small portion of the entire revenue for the system. So it's
Maybe so, but the reason I'm sticking on this is because you said a minute ago that we're up 2.9%, and that's a positive trend we're going to continue to see. But in my mind, if it's beach revenue that's driving it up,
it's not. The violation revenue only accounts for like maybe 10-15% of, and I'll get there, but 10 to 15% of system revenue. So it's insignificant compared to what's going on at all the other locations.
okay. All right. Yeah.
Make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. So, and like I said, when we go through these graphs, and do I need to enlarge this or is this okay?
a little bit, yeah, that's good, much better.
You can see I've color coordinated all the years for all the graphs. So the orange ones represent this current fiscal year. So you can see the impacts on everything. So system-wide, transient activities is way down, but it's up from last month. This is just another look at it by location, but just comparing last year to this year to date. So, and you'll note there's some big drop-offs in some of the locations. Well, you can't really see it here, but in South Norwalk, the rail station facilities have taken really a beating in terms of activity and demand. Those have been the largest declines in activity. Pay by cell revenue has still been strong, but we've lost that upward trend year over year. And this is the entire, this is an entire year of 17, 18, 19, and 20. So it's finally shown a decline because of COVID related. So this only represents this year to date. That's why it's so low. So as we go through each month, and we have our board meetings, you're going to see these four here remaining the same, and you'll see this line starting to come up. And here's just another graphical representation of that. You can see the drop off, you know, in March, April, May, and then starting to pick back up, and then back up over here these last 2 months. Permit activity is down from last year too, but it's been relatively, you know, stable the last couple months. And as far as variances to permit revenue from past years, it's still below last couple of years, but we're starting to come back. Maritime Garage, the one thing that represents the increase in activity and revenue is really from, you know, August activity at the aquarium, and of course in the summer months as that reopened, we saw some more activity. And as we're going through this, Rocky is going to jump in if there's something that's maybe unique that I failed to mention, or something you want to make sure we add. He'll just jump in. Okay, Rock? The Webster lot, you'll see a big decline in activity, again related to commuters using the rail line, and that's reflected in revenue and on the pay by sell activity as well.
And also start the movie theater being closed.
What's that?
The movie theater is also closed. That has a negative impact.
Right. Thank you, Rocky. And I forgot, when did that close again?
They opened up in June, and then
They had to close again, yes, it was the governor executive order, yep.
Okay.
Have plans to reopen
They're
yet?
trying, I think.
No dates though.
It's up to the governor when things open.
How long were they open for?
A week?
Oh.
Yeah, it's a problem.
I think Haviland is somewhat of a bright spot. I mean, in 19, you can see this dip, the blue line that was from some of those spaces, 100 spaces being taken off line for the reconstruction and work that was being done. But I think it's been relatively more stable, and you can see it by the graphs. Oh, you know what? My colors were off on this one. Sorry. Yeah, the revenue one, I got to go back and change. So pay by sale activity has been, I'd say, bounced back nicely. And if I'm going too quickly, let me know. North Water, you know, again, has always been strong as far as transient revenue goes, because we don't have any monthly parking or permit parking there. And the pay by sell activity is actually, you know, much stronger than it was in the past. So that's a good sign. So the rail stations, as we said, the biggest impact from COVID on activity has really been at these rail station facilities. And, you know, the South Norwalk station is no exception. And it's pretty stark, the decline, and how it's really just, it hasn't bounced back. We're off, you know, 90 something percent there, 90% maybe on transient. And it's certainly reflected in the revenue too. And then that's also driving down, and we'll see it when we get to the pay by sell page, but that's driving down the average pay by sell transaction as well. I want to say it was $4.07 last year at this time, or pre-COVID, and now it's $2 and change, and that's just because there were so many $12 transactions at the railroad station. East Norwalk, same thing. Where it's been down and it hasn't quite recovered yet until people are going to be able to get back to the city. Yankee Doodle's been year to date's been down almost 50% in activity and revenue. The revenue spike is from some catch-up payments from McMahon Ford, so that's not reflecting what really happened in the month. If you factor that out, it would be more similar to what we're seeing in the activity. Wall Street has the transit activity has been up because of the rate changes. Or opening it up, and revenues, I think, relatively stable there.
That's the mechanics lot. Yes.
Yep, and that's reflected too in the pay by sell transactions.
The main.
Yeah, the Main Street lot is still rebounding from even though it was down 12% in activity, 13% and almost 30% in revenue compared to last year.
What is the November spike from?
The November, here in the revenue, I'm not sure. I don't recall. I'd have to look. I'd have to check into that unless Rocky knows offhand.
I think it's the same deal with we have a group of permit partners that.
Oh, it's a cash flow issue. It's a cash flow.
Oh, it was a collection issue. Okay.
It's collection cash flow. That's what.
Yeah, so maybe it was some catch-up payments from these 2 months. Library Lat's shut down, so there's nothing going on there. Liberty Square, that didn't open until it opened in January of last year, so that's why the blue line starts here. But that's coming back.
No,
The library was shut down.
Library, yeah, was shut down. On Street's been down, in revenue and activity, 21% and 37% respectively. That is coming back, especially on the pay by sell side. And next month we'll start reporting to some of the text to park data, so we can measure how that's been improving, and giving people another option. I don't know if we have any of those numbers offhand, if Rocky has them and wants to share them, but
I have those.
you do?
About the text to park.
So,
Market. For the month of June, we only had 383 transactions.
Okay.
July, we had 939 transactions.
In August.
In August, 1,017.
So the text to park is a good other option for people, it's again, another touchless payment option. Great.
it's a great other option that doesn't seem to be eroding, the Park Mobile transactions. There may be some people that have switched, but overall, I think it's just a new group of users, which is a great thing.
And then also the online reservation.
Oh, yeah, it hasn't.
That one in it was rolled out in June. June, we had only 30 usage. So 100 and only 144, so that's also.
That's great. That is really good. Okay.
So on parking enforcement, ticket issuance is down significantly compared to last year to date, 64%, and the revenue's been down 23%. Now, to Eric's point, what we can start doing is maybe in the summary bullet points, we can identify how much of the revenue collected for the month was from beach citations, if that's something that you think would be useful to you.
I think it should be at least a bullet point.
Okay, so we can do that.
Hey, staff,
Yes.
Yep. Is it possible to look at ticketing in comparison to transactions, get some kind of ratio?
So ticketing so to get like an average ticket value or something?
Yeah, per number of transactions. So we could look at that from fiscal year 2020 to 21 or wherever we are now. Does that make sense to anybody else?
So let me make sure I understand what you're talking about. So is it something like on this, let's say we use this graph as an example. So we have 2019, if we add up all these points and we have the number of citations for the year and we're going to compare it to previous years. So these 2 months compared to these 2 months?
I think it would be, number of transient. I think it would be tickets issued per month divided by transient transactions per month or something.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Okay.
So we could get a ratio because, here you're saying, yes, ticketing is down, but, so is, business is way down. So of course ticketing is down.
Yeah. So
but
the ratio of tickets issued to transient activity.
Right.
Okay. Yeah.
Because I think that would help guide us on, how aggressive or not we want to be with ticketing. Which of course, right now we don't want to be aggressive, but as we move forward.
Yep. So one,
I think that's a really good, another data point that will be really helpful.
Yep. So let's make a note here.
Yeah.
What I would not want to see next month is that as a percentage that ticketing is up over last year.
Well, I doubt that.
Yeah. So let us put that together and whatever it is, and then we'll be able to see what that looks like.
Okay. Thank you.
So one, excuse me, one piece of data too, to Eric's comment about, and your comment too about backing out the beach enforcement numbers. So this year, for this July and August, there's been about 761 tickets issued. Last year, this time there was almost 3,200. So it's been down about 76%, and these are tickets not including the beaches in Oyster Park. So it's down significantly, but we'll be able to show that data too that you're talking about, Judd. I mentioned the courtesy program, but I think I have another section for that, so we can get to that courtesy program so you can see where that's been. Now the collections program, just a reminder, everybody, these are outstanding citations from previous months or years that have come in. So we track that separately. So the customer courtesy program, we've had I call a huge expansion of it. And so now we're we've been running it every day. And if we look at the current activity and we compare it to just last year entirely, by mid fiscal year, we're going to hit the numbers of the entire last year. So just, for example, the courtesy tickets that we have year to date issued 2,852. Last year, for 12 months, we issued 8,000. So we're already at 35% of last year. So to the extent that you like the way this program works, it's successful. Same thing with meter time that's been given. So 1,400 was put in meters to help motorists and customers, and that's compared to $4,000 last year. So it's like 35% of that as well. And as far as the value of the courtesy tickets, if they were real violations that were issued, for this year to date, it's a little over 59,000, and last year it was 184,000 for the entire year. So that's like 32%. So by those measures, I think the program continues to be successful. Rocky talked about online reservations, and Text to Park. Rocky give us those numbers as well. And on the pay by cell side, transactions were up, revenue is up compared to last month, but to last year, it's down 31% and 56% respectively. Of course, again, due to COVID. So the average transaction, it's down a little bit from July to August, but as I was saying before, pre-COVID, this number was like $4.07. And again, that is because of the impact of the South Norwalk Railroad Station, a garage where it's a flat day rate of $12. So that's what's driving that number down.
Right.
And again, this is the year-to-date comparison. So for these are 2-month numbers. So you can see where it's dropped. So we'll see if we can catch up. Adjudication statistics, there haven't been any hearings, so we don't have any of that data to really share, or there's no data to share.
Can I jump in for 2 seconds as related to the hearings because of the social distancing requirements, et cetera. We are working with the law department to come up with a virtual hearing type of program.
And this is just a graphical summary of over the past years, how many appeals there were, how many hearings, whether it was denied or reduced or dismissed. And most of them, as you can see, were dismissed.
Wow. There must be a heck of a backlog of
Yeah, well, probably get some credit for just showing up,
And there's not a lot.
And then the equipment operability report was something that we've tracked for years, but it was really on the meters to just show that they're functioning and the uptime is there. So that is the end of the report. That's probably the longest one for a while, so I hope I didn't bore you.
I love it. That's good.
So if there's no questions, I can get off the screen sharing unless you want to see something else.
Eric? John?
Am I muted here? No, no, I'm good with that. That was great. Thank you.
All right, thanks, Doug.
All right.
Capital budget report.
This budget project.
What happened?
Did you say budget or project?
Capital
Project report.
Yeah.
Okay.
But, oh, this
Is it
says,
budget or
it says
project?
budget on the agenda, yeah.
Is it budget or project?
Budget.
Is that what it is? That was I'm asking, yeah.
Should be.
Project?
Okay, yeah.
That's what I'm not, okay.
So next one was the-
Vanessa, do you have projects for us to talk
Yeah,
about?
just a couple things, small.
Mhm.
So we have Doncor Engineering Desmond on board. They are trying to, they're gonna start doing the design. They already started for the caulking for the exterior of the South Mile Railroad Station. So we should have this complete by end of the year, so we can fit it out during the winter. So that's one thing that is going on. The other one is the Webster parking lot, the green infrastructure improvements. We may get the quality assurance project plan approved officially this week. That's what we heard. There was a rumor that came out that the design said that they already kind of approved, but we're waiting for the official one. So with that, we can move so the only downside of that is that we got delay on starting this project. Now we got delay with this approval. So I'm not sure if we'll be able to finalize the project for the spring as we were expecting first. So we may run a little bit late with everything that happened this year.
Sure, whatsoever.
Then the other thing that we're doing, we're fixing the light fixture at Yankee Doodle. As you guys remember, we had an issue with some of those lights that weren't coming up.
The exterior.
Yes, outside.
So,
Yep.
we got the vendor, we got the programmer, we got everybody back in. We decided to upgrade with a new fixture, some of them, so we believe that now it's gonna work and we'll reprogram. So we are reinstalling the pieces that we ordered. I'm hoping that in 2 or 3 weeks, we should have that all installed, and then we'll program again, and hopefully we're gonna have all those lights. Were a couple of sequences that didn't work. So that's all that I have to report.
That's good. The last report we had on that was that we were afraid it was unrepairable because we couldn't find parts and things, but
Yeah, no,
That's a better
we
report.
were able, we decided to invest a little bit and then try to upgrade for it's the same vendor and all that, but it's a system that's probably not gonna cause that many headaches as this one.
good.
On the Webster lot, who will be responsible for maintaining the water quality measures once they're built?
We are still discussing that, but now that's in the GMP, so we just need to see how we're gonna, because we'll have to, we haven't even started design, so we don't know exactly what will be proposed. Usually, there are 2 components of that. If it is on the right of way, usually DPW does that clean. In the Webster lot, we have some of the landscaping done by the vendors that Parking Authority does. But we clean the catch basins in the house. So it's kind of a gray area. We just need to get into an agreement. Will be either DPW or maybe it will fall under the operations for the Parking Authority. It's something that should be discussed.
Right, because you're responsible for the Webster lot.
But that's what I'm asking. So
Right.
when we do our budget, is Desmond able to pursue?
It's not Desmond that will be, it's Fuss O'Neill.
Oh, for Fuss O'Neill,
Yeah.
are they able to give projected maintenance costs?
I think that is easy to get. We can, if they tell us, so this will need to be clean every X amount of time. It should not be.
It'll be a new line.
Yeah, but they can, because we asked that question when we meeting with them.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
If they could, then
Right.
we'll know what to.
yeah,
look
you're
at.
gonna have.
We have to see what will be proposed also,
Right,
and there are things that maybe we are trying to have, we discussed that we didn't wanna have a lot of maintenance on what they would
levels.
Right, exactly because of that, it's not in our right of way, we will have to depend on somebody else to do, so.
Yeah, okay, good.
Good?
Mhm.
Wasn't there a question we wanted to ask for this?
That was it.
That was it. Oh, good. Yeah, cool. Thank you. Any other business? Catherine? Would you like
I
the
have two
floor?
things before you
Oh,
start.
go ahead.
Under the other business, the possibility of investigating pay by cell on half-hour increments. Pay by cell is part of mobile, right? So to investigate pay by cell, a half-hour increment on the street instead of a full hour. And then the second is just a question. There's a trash compactor, Rocky, in the Maritime Garage. I see restaurants wheeling their restaurant waste down Ann Street to that compactor. Do we have an arrangement with restaurants to do that? I don't understand.
No, that compartment is owned by condo unit, and they manage it, and the restaurant owner, it used to be the Mama's Boy restaurant. He, I guess, subleased it to a restaurant across the street. So we actually reached out to the condo people and asking them if they can stop that restaurant dumping their garbage in that dumpster because it was creating bad odor. And they did contact them. They, Susan is the lady that's reaching out to see if they, have that contract between the two restaurants canceled.
Yeah, because it wasn't the Mama Boy space that was using it. It was down the street closer to the Main Street
Yes.
restaurants that were
Yes,
bringing their garbage.
Mama's Boy restaurant leased it to.
Oh, it was the deli across the street on North Main? Was that,
No,
or was it a different one?
it was social.
Oh,
No, that's
okay.
not social.
It's the.
Oh, Brooks House.
The
yeah.
Das Camino, Das Carly, the Mexican restaurant, the Spanish food.
Oh, the new one on North
What
Main.
was the name?
North Main and.
Okay, yeah,
Yes, those are the ones.
Okay.
But he leased it to them, and the condo unit people are actually reaching out to him to the new owner. And Mama's Boy is out of business now, so there's a new owner that took over that restaurant. It's got it signed.
yeah.
Yes.
So I guess the question is, whoever is responsible for it, it's really a mess.
It is.
And,
I don't think that should be leasable. It shouldn't be subletable.
it doesn't
It
make
is
sense. That, I guess it's, in a way, it gets into another question of what is our relationship with them? With parking and with offices. So what is the arrangement with the condominiums? But as long as, I don't, there's nothing wrong. I think it needs to be fixed. It's just, it seemed odd to me that a restaurant a block away is bringing their refuse to what I thought was a parking authority asset. And it sounds like it's the parking authority condominium arrangement that allows it.
I did reach out to them, not last week, the week before. They did clean it up, but I'm going to reach out again to see if they can cancel that contract. They did come and clean up. You're right. It was smelling. It was very bad. Yeah. All right. Okay.
That's it.
I think it's well within our purview if it's not maintained well to definitely stand up on it.
Yeah, because we're a partner in that relationship.
Big one.
Forever.
80%.
Yeah, so, yeah, so it's just,
Was that two things or one?
no, the first one was can we get half hour pay
Oh,
myself?
I like the half hour. I think it's a great idea.
is it even possible programming wise?
They,
I guess we
they
have to
can
ask.
reach out to, Laz can reach out to Park Mobile.
Can you just clarify again what it is that you were looking for, just for that particular location?
No, they want half-hour increments anywhere on the street.
So I think
With
there is, except for the first hour, like the meters, if you're going to use it, because it's credit card related, it's a minimum of $1 purchase. Otherwise, it's.
Well, let's do this. Why don't you look into it and then get back to Eric and Mike and the group.
Yeah, okay.
Okay,
Yeah, because it's not the case in Stamford with Park Mobile.
No, it's certainly a programming issue. It's a, a policy decision.
Okay, so you'll get back to them.
Yep.
All right.
Okay, I got something I'd like to bring up,
Well, all right then.
if that's all right with you.
Yes.
I'm looking at the transient activity for August 19 versus 2020, which of course is way down. And I see the South Norwalk Railroad parking lot, not the garage, but the parking lot has an average of 4 transactions per weekend. I periodically get calls from Sound Cyclist, which runs these group rides, and they meet in the parking lots of train stations, Westport, Darien, which are all free. And I've been asked a couple of times, why is Norwalk charging on Sunday? And I'd like to make a proposal that we make the surface lots at the train station free, say for the next 6 months, and revisit it after that.
On Sunday.
On Sunday only, and only the surface lots. So that's East Norwalk and South Norwalk. And, I'm thinking if it brings a dozen people to South Norwalk on a Sunday afternoon that go for a bicycle ride afterwards, maybe they decide to go get something to eat or pick up their takeout food in South Norwalk instead of Darien or Westport, it would be good.
Okay.
And my wife likes it. She just gave me a thumbs up.
Stati, Rocky, what impact is that for us? Doesn't sound like it moves the needle much.
Not now during COVID, in the COVID era.
Right.
Probably before, yes. So maybe you can work up some kind of some data for next month, and you guys take a vote one way or another.
Okay.
And your suggestion of, you maybe do it for the next 6 months, but look at it after 3 months, because again, as things change, right?
Yep.
Well, if it's really a bicycle thing that he's talking about, the next 3 to 6 months aren't going to be much because.
No, those people ride all year long.
Oh, they do.
I mean, even August of 19, pre-virus, there was only 43 transactions average per weekend.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I'm not talking about Saturday, I'm just talking about Sunday. Brings us in line with the surrounding municipalities. And yeah, make it for 3 months.
And then review it.
All right, so why don't we put that on the agenda for next month as a vote, and we'll talk about it this month together.
Okay.
Okay, and we can start getting some data together.
What do you say? Oh, thank you. All right, so other new business before I give the floor to Catherine. Go ahead.
Okay, so I did put something together. So hello, everybody. I am speaking to you during the last couple weeks of my 33-year career at the City of Norwalk. The retirement package that the City of Norwalk offered is good for me and my family. I had to consider it, and I will be retiring, quote unquote, and my last day, along with others, is Friday, October 9th. I leave you all in a better place. I find the word retiring somewhat amusing, especially for someone like me, who has had a very successful career and continues to contribute in so many meaningful, impactful ways, with all the energy, multiple skill sets, diverse capabilities, and education that I started out with, but now with so much more experience and reach. I came here in 1987 as Kathy Lewis. After receiving my master's in public finance from the University of Colorado and working for the City and County of Denver as the asset manager for about 2 years, managing their $3 billion real estate asset portfolio. And here I am, after 33 years. Personally, I've been married to one person, Jay Hebert. I have one daughter who we adopted from Russia. We had several personal tragedies, including losing my brother 9/11, but so many wonderful and amazing memories. And now I leave you as Catherine Hebert. And while I will not be retiring in the traditional sense, no, not yet. Way too many years left for that. I am ready and happy to begin the next chapter of my life. My next adventure is here and now, and everyone will hear about it very soon. In deciding to take the package now, it forced me to reflect on an exceptionally long career with the city of Norwalk. Over the years, I was offered many opportunities to leave and do something else, but I stayed. And so some people would say to me, Kath, you can make so much more money in the private sector. It was not, for me, it wasn't totally about the money. It was about value, but it was really always about Norwalk. To me, Norwalk is an incredibly special place. It is so much vibrancy, diversity in every way, and it resonates. I used to chuckle when people around me would say, oh, nothing ever happens around here. And why are you still there? Well, not true. Look around. So much has changed in a wonderful way. So much has been created in the past 33 years. It is quite amazing. And why? Because of people like me who love this city, who want to see it grow and still maintain that beautiful and magical essence, who understand and have the vision, skills to see and make it happen. The last 33 years working for the city of Newark has been an amazing experience. Sometimes a roller coaster, but always a positive outcome. My husband, a firefighter here in Norwalk, is from Newark, and so is his very large extended family. Mostly still live here and work here. So while I'm leaving employment, I'm not leaving. You may see me around from time to time. So just, again, a little bit more. I have worked for 5 mayors, or should I say 5 different executive administrations, starting with Mayor Bill Collins, Mayor Frank Esposito, Mayor Alex Knapp, Mayor Richard Moshe, and Mayor Harry Rilling. I have learned a great deal from each of those mayors, each one making Newark a better place. I met Mayor Collins less than 2 months before his last term as mayor, but it was a memorable operating capital budget moment. I will never forget Mayor Esposito always calling me down to his office to get me involved with so many projects representing the city. He would say, Kath, I have a special detail for you. One of the most satisfying and successful projects was serving on the United Way Board of Directors for several years, increasing the public sector engagement by 75% and speaking on behalf of the mayor at several functions. Mayor Knopp appointed me as a staff person to the newly created Parking Authority in 2002. Little did I know that this appointment would be a total game changer, which I will get to in a minute. Who goes to school for parking? What an amazing ride this has been, how it would open all sorts of doors and how parking has become the center spoke to everything everywhere. Mayor Moshe appointing me to the Arts Commission as the mayor's business liaison, knowing my love and passion for arts and culture. And Mayor Harry Rilling, who I've known for 33 years, who worked alongside my father-in-law and brother-in-law as police officers. You are really Mr. Norwalk. And I want to thank you for the opportunity you gave me, promoting me to the director of the newly created Department of Transportation, Mobility, and Parking, recognizing my experience, education, and skills to successfully create and lead the department. As I mentioned before, Mayor Knopp asked me to staff develop and build the newly created Parking Authority in 2002. When I agreed to take this on, I thought, okay, well, whatever, it's parking, how hard can that be? After extensive review and finding out that there were no business systems, no technology, no staff, negative maintenance with garages literally falling down, no organization, little to no significant revenue, I knew I had my work cut out for me. But I knew that I was in it for the long game, that this would take some time to build. And I knew that I would not do it alone, that it would take an awesome team. And here we are. This task turned into a passion of mine. Little did I know that parking would become so significant and important, the most highly recognized industry in the world, an industry that employs millions of people all over the world. I am so proud of everything we have accomplished, us, the team, for the past 18 years. The parking industry itself has also evolved, but the Norwalk Parking Authority has been a visionary leader, a change agent in this regard. We have all been a significant part of that evolution. You, Parking Authority members, staff, the talent, Last Parking, and others have been a part of one of the best led, managed, successful organizations in the city of Newark, all over the Northeast and all over the country. The Norwalk Parking Authority is highly regarded, admired, and commended for creating, building, and sustaining a municipal parking organization, also known as a municipal enterprise organization, that has evolved into a significant, meaningful, and critical component of city government, transportation, mobility, economic, and community development. I've worked alongside 7 chairmen, so many board members, and with a winning team of staff, business partners, and others. I'm so proud and honored to have been there from the beginning and to see this organization grow so well and become a critical component of city government and the city of Norwalk. I've learned so much from every parking authority, everybody, and every chairman. Urban Mulvihill was the first chairman of the parking authority. Then there was Stephen Bankover, John Federici, Brian Meek, Julius Hayward, Dick Brescia, and now Mike Harden. You should all be so proud. I am confident that despite these extremely challenging times we are in, and none of us will ever forget 2020, the Norwalk Parking Authority will continue to contribute in so many ways and succeed and sustain for a long time. You will continue, you will do it, and you will do it together. When I drive around Norwalk, I am glowing at all the initiatives that we were part of, created, led, and helped bring to fruition, are still going strong, and have helped Norwalk in so many ways, all with the help and assistance from all the amazing teams and the support of so many. After 33 years, there are so many people I would like to thank and recognize, but yeah, we'll be here forever. So what's next? Stay tuned. There is definitely a next. Now I bid you farewell, never goodbye. And so with great respect, admiration, and happiness, and all that stuff, peace out.
Yay.
Outstanding. Thank you so much. Wow. All right.
Thank you, Catherine. Thank you.
Yeah, I think on behalf of the entire LAS organization, we're going to really miss you.
Yep.
You've been awesome, and you've been a great asset to the parking authority, and just as someone who's become a friend.
Thank you. Well, I'm not going away.
Believe me, you're still going to be on speed dial.
Yeah. Way too much energy left in this body.
On that note, we'll take a motion to adjourn.
Motion adjourned.
Second.
All those in favor? Second, Judd, thank you. So carried. We're done.
Okay.
All right.
Thanks, Larry.